Okay, I'm finally going to do a segment, although I assure you a brief segment on Will Smith. When this first happened, this business with Chris Rock and Will Smith, I was like, this is silly. I'm not even going to cover this. I'm not going to say a word about it. And I wasn't going to. And then I see on television a woman named Professor Eisa Nefertari Ulen. And this is the woman, she is, quote, the professor of African and diaspora literature at New York's Hunter College. So she's on TV, and she says that Will Smith's slap on Chris Rock was, quote, triggered by 400 years of black erasure and black silencing. This was like too good to be true, so I had to fish out, I had to go not just based on her clip, but an article that she's written, this woman, in the Hollywood Reporter. And, of course, it has all the usual circumambulatory nonsense. We black folk often feel we are near drowning as we remain locked in a system that marginalizes us. So let's pause to think about this, right? She's describing why one black man slapped another black man. And what are we getting? A recitation, this very typical recycled, tedious narrative about the bad old days of the past. Now, she does go on to say things like, Chris Rock should never ever have let that joke come out of his mouth. So she's giving some justification, I guess, for Will Smith. Then she goes, well, Will Smith shouldn't really have slapped him, and if he slapped him on the subway or someplace else, we really wouldn't stand for it. Then she goes on to give a sort of a gender twist on this. Quote, she goes, in his sudden decision to rise and approach Chris, the patriarchy's compulsory performance of strong manhood. So she's now faulting Will Smith for engaging in patriarchal conduct. She goes, in fact, the slap was, quote, a hyper-masculine response consistent with America's punitive justice system. So we have a punitive justice system, supposedly, and that was being mirrored in Will Smith administering a slap. And then she goes on, and this is the part that made me laugh out loud. She starts talking about black women whose enslaved ancestors were required by law in some places and by custom in others to cover their hair in rags, blah, blah, blah. What does this have to do with anything? How does the actions of one black man and another black man somehow evoke the fate of black women through history? What does this have to do with anything? I mean, this is a case where you can see how a racial lens distorts everything. It distorts the way in which you see a simple incident instead of being able to look, here's a guy who made a joke about another guy's wife. The joke was, I don't even think really that funny. It was kind of dumb. And the other guy kind of took umbrage, took offense. This could have happened among white guys. It could have happened in pretty much any context. And Will Smith clearly lost his cool, and kind of went nuts. And that's kind of all there is to it. But I guess what you have with the professoriate is a desire to sort of, oh yeah, hundreds of years of racial oppression. I mean, it's not so much that comes out of the incident, but it's really that professors like this Eisa Nefertari, their life is based upon these recycled narratives. Their job is based upon these recycled narratives. If it wasn't for these recycled narratives, these people would have to teach math or teach anthropology or they would have to teach some subject that required them to learn something. But instead they can casually, evoke all this history and try to interpret current events in the light of things that seem to have absolutely nothing to do with any of it.